Welcome to a game between foxfaction here in blue, starting with Cloakybots and a Guardian commander. And he goes up against ddd356. And he's going with a strike commander and a Cloakybot factory as well. So foxfaction just suggested I cast this replay. I'm not sure what's in store for this one, but let's see. DDD starts somewhat economically with a con early. I like this to start a bit economy heavy on this map because it's quite easy to protect expansion on this map. And most factories are viable on this map, I'd say. You can see almost any factory on this match as a starting factory. But yeah, since these starting positions are kind of choke pointy, it's recommended that you just eco a bit, since it's kind of easy to defend. Unless the enemy has like jump bots with pirates that they can jump above the hills here. Yeah, you're not gonna struggle to defend against enemy. Yeah, and you can see bot padding here. It's they can pot only some of this area, but yeah, it's mostly you can cover this place with just 2 Lotus turrets. So I'd recommend going a bit more heavily on economy. So this is probably gonna make DDD get ahead quite early. And the commander can also be in position to cover one of the incoming areas. Let's see how foxfaction uses his army. He managed to save all his glaive without losing any, so that's nice, and they're gonna regenerate health in a moment. Yeah, but foxfaction is still not making any conjurers, any construction bots, so yeah. Eventually he's gonna fall behind in economy and be a bit behind. He also doesn't have his commander on high priority. You can either put your factor low priority or your commander on high priority. I'd recommend that so that your economy gets built faster if you're stalling your economy. Yes. And yeah, I don't really like this long build queue. It's like very long. The commander is kind of slow. It's even slower than a conjurer, so it's gonna spend a lot of time walking. Generally you want to get out on the field and be able to use your commander on the front line, which a commander is basically like it's basically the strength of 2 reavers and a construction as well, and you can always build Lotus turrets to increase the survivability of your commander and create a forward strong position. So I really dislike this commander pathing, where he's gonna spend a lot of time in the back line and never really get to the front line. So yeah, DDD is finally making a conjurer, a construction bot, to go here and expand here, so that's good. Oh, and that's a good tick there by ddd356, and yeah, this is gonna give DDD a lot of value. Yeah, so yeah, now you're quite far behind as well in value, and you spend a Ronin. Well, 1 Ronin is fine if you want to push the enemy. Typically you want to focus mostly on glaze early in the game. But this map is also, it's easier to defend this map, so you can mix it up and go for like reavers early and stuff like that, because it's kind of easy to defend. Meanwhile, this placement of the Lotus turret, I don't like too much. Like, you could place it here to protect, and then 1 Lotus there maybe. Yeah, so yeah, you can place it there, but so yeah, can DDD exploit this opportunity and get a rating in here? Potentially could, unless it runs into the commander or a tick. So ticks are also really good defense. Yeah, and your glaives are kind of out of position, and you have a smaller number of glaives, so you lose this expansion without killing really many glaives in the enemy. Maybe we'll get some revenge here by the enemy running into the ticks. Yeah, that's nice. So payback time. This glaive is gonna run in, it's gonna be able to get some damage done before you kill it. Yeah, looks like it chooses the wrong target, goes back and dies against the other glaives. So yeah, that's basically making even. But now you're starting to excess metal as well. You haven't really planned, so you're just gonna start making plates. That's a good choice. For most factories, I recommend going for plates first. Like Clockybot units are generally cheap. Like if you go for glaive spam or Ronin spam or reavers, they're all cheap. They get built quite fast with just a plate. Knight is also pretty cheap. Sling is cheap. Sight is pretty cheap. Gremlin is cheap. Imp is cheap, and then you have Iris and Phantom that are not cheap. So if you're planning on making lots of Phantoms, maybe you want to have some build power like caretakers next to your factory, so your Phantoms get done faster, rather than just being built by the 10 build power of the plate or the factory. But yeah, let's see how far you're falling behind here. You accessed about 300 metal. Yeah, that's a bit, but not very bad. And the enemy is not too far ahead in economy. Yeah, so but you're still more than 1,000 value behind because you lost units and yeah, stuff like that. And yeah, you can see here that DDD is switching up with a slower unit composition with Reavers and Knights, which can be hard to stop for a lot of factories. The response here should really be to basically spam Ronin. If you spam Ronin and Glaives, it's kinda hard to deal with for the Cloakybot factory. It just takes a bit of micro to not have your Glaives running into the Reaver and die. And you get a decent trade there, somewhat. Like if you get a good surround on the Reaver, you can run in with Glaives and kill it like that. So you did that semi-successfully. Meanwhile, the enemy commander is expanding to your backline here, and you have Conjure just run up and die to your expansion there. That's the thing, like, even if you're not having the tension to like micro, because you were microing here, you should expect the enemy to have expanded here by now. I mean, your slow expansion that made it all the way in the backline here, even made it there. So you would expect the enemy to have this position by now, just from the time perspective. So yeah, running a Conjurer, trying to build mexes like that is, yeah, you should expect that and be thinking about where your Conjurers are moving next. Then you have like more, then it's easier to react on the circumstances, so to speak. Because then you know that the enemy is probably going to be there, and yeah. One lonely tick will not do much against Knight. You need damage, you need 2 ticks, so ticks are not going to do much against Knight. Here you probably want to use fight command and not move commands and move into the range of the Knights. You should really be having the units fight automatically. Another thing you consider is putting your Ronins on maneuvers, so they automatically kite if they're standing still. But you can also just put them on attack mode. That's the short command for fight. So yeah, you can do that. And yet again, you're moving forward and dying to Knights with your Ronins that should be countering the Knights. And Knights, if they can just keep dodging, they're not going to take a lot of damage in like when there's low numbers like this. It's going to dodge most of the rockets, so take a few hits. So yeah, you really want to let your Ronins kite on their own. And still again, why do you have your Ronins in hold position? I would probably recommend you have your Ronins on the maneuver. In most cases it's what you want, and yeah. Because now you're losing some Ronins here because you're moving them back in a bad manner. Like, yeah, you're not. If you just had on the maneuver, they'd mostly be doing their own work and be handling themselves. Now you're gonna move into the Knight again, and you can see that the attrition is going way down. How are you even keeping up with the enemy? I'm not sure right now, because the enemy is ahead of you in economy and everything. I guess the enemy is starting to access metals, so that makes a bit sense why you're managing to keep up. I guess you're having your plates and your factor on the hold position, so they inherit the command from the factory. Meanwhile, you upgraded your commander. What did you choose for a second weapon? A heavy machine gun is pretty good because it has splash damage, so it's pretty good against glaive. Protects you against glaive pretty well. You could probably challenge these glaive. It's a bit risky because the enemy could be reinforcing with more glaive, so it's a bit risky to put the commander here alone, and then against Ronins and slings as well. But yeah, glaive does decently against lone knights. It can just overwhelm them. but you're not. Yeah, this line, you're trying to manage a line of units here, and you're not quite managing it right. Oh, you're drowning a knight. That's kind of funny. It fell down this water, and on this map, yeah, they take slowly take damage. So yeah, units die in the water. So yeah, the enemies has been expanding pretty safely, and you haven't been able to challenge them. You could be challenging this position if you had the micro. You could use Ronins to challenge the Stardust, for example, and yeah, you could try to multitask. Because now you're falling quite far behind because of the metal produced and the value killed, so you're losing a lot more than the enemy. I'm gonna try to make a run by. Let's see how successful it is. It's about 22 glaives. The enemy doesn't have a lot of defense, so you seem to be choosing a path that's pretty good. So you might be able to get some damage done. If you went up to the base here, you might be able to get something done, but it's risky. The enemy can react with building reavers, but you can also catch them out of position, building a phantom or something. So it's definitely good to test the waters. It's a bit risky. And let's see how you deal with this reaver. Will you be able to kill this reaver? The enemy build queue is bad, and yeah, you have enough glaives, and the enemy build queue is kind of bad with just a knight coming out and just some Ronins. So this is gonna be able to this allows you to deal a lot of damage when the enemy opponent should really have reacted better, and just build a few more reavers. So there, this is doing more damage than it should, and the enemy is still not reacting properly. You're still getting damage now. I'm not sure where the attention of the enemies. They're trying to advance, I guess, with slings and Ronins and stuff. And you're still getting damage down. So yeah, that was pretty nice. Now the enemy has not as much build power, but you also can kill all of the economy. So we'll look here at total value. It's a little dip for the enemy, but you're gonna catch up again, and you lost a lot of army value here. But now the enemy unit composition is kind of wrong, so this should be easily run down by glaives, since there's only one knight here and the Ronins are mostly gonna miss, so yeah. Yeah, so yeah, you run down the army here, and yeah, that's nice. This gives you an opportunity to take ground again and kill some value and make back some of that attrition value. But yeah, you're still being out-ecoed by the opponent. Basically, I think they're having more income on you, but they're also accessing quite a bit. So it's not that clear cut. New glaives go in and kill the rest of the Ronins here, so that's nice. The enemy unit composition is kind of wrong. This is how you can punish the enemy if they make the wrong unit composition. But the enemy has made their expansion pretty safe. You could be challenging this position with Ronins or slings and trying to work down these defenses. And since the enemy is so close to your base, it doesn't take a long time for units to go here and start firing at the enemy position. You don't have any radar though, so having a radar here and there, like on the ridges here, could be nice, so you can see the enemy expansion and see enemy units better. Right now you're basically fighting blind, but yeah. Then he's being kind of defensive and trying to create a defensive line here. But yeah, they left gaps in the line and you were able to exploit that. Yeah. Let's see here. And you're able to punish these units again. You could maybe get all the slings as well, but it's a bit risky to push on, so yeah. And the enemy has some energy spread out here, but yeah, they don't really have. They have a bit. They just have about enough energy, so they're not suffering too badly from energy department. Yeah. And you're being able to outnumber the enemy glaives, and they don't have anything to punish these. You can probably get these slings as well. They're out of position, and you can get them and kill them. Meanwhile, you're starting the overdrive. So this is, since it's pretty easy to defend this area, it's pretty easy to start overdriving here, and you miss rebuilding this mechs here. Or no, I guess these pickets were built up to try to harass his position. So it's kind of nice play by DDD. You should be able to counter these with just a few slings, like 2-3 slings, and yeah, you should be pushing these pickets back. And yeah, they're being really safe with expansion here. You shouldn't be able to go in there against this much defense and starters and everything. And you realize that and retreat again. Yeah. So yeah, you're starting to get some overdrive economy. So this is nice things to do on this map. You can even go for the geothermal here on this position to get some more income. Yeah, and I think you... Yeah, I think you should, like... I guess you're afraid of glaives and knights or something. You could be pushing in here, but yeah, the enemy can easily swing the arm around and kill your commander. I guess you're a bit aware of that. And since the enemy has a strong position here, you can't really punch it that easily. Here comes some more ticks, and yeah, that gets like, how many glaives is that? That's 7 glaives done. That's really worth it. And makes you afraid of pushing on. And your commander is moving into the Stardust that was being pelted by the little drone there. So now you may finally be able to take this position. You could probably have taken it earlier if you had been a bit more aggressive, but I guess you didn't want to take that risk. So yeah, the enemy's army can easily swing around and attack your commander. Now you're getting in against a commander with 3 knights and a lot of glaives. Is that going to be enough? It's going to be risky. There's a lot of stuff here. And yeah, you sacrifice a lot of units to stop the enemy push. That's something, but it was expensive. So yeah. And now the situation when you switch into knights is opposite, where you're basically where the enemy has units that are countering your knights, but yeah, slowly. It's gonna take a lot of time to damage them with just slings, a few slings and so a few neuronis. Or this is actually kind of a lot of slings, so yeah. So yeah, but you can see here what DDD is doing. He's sending his slings back, in order to counter your expansion here with your commander, and that's going to keep your commander busy and mostly keep it occupied. Unless your single drone is going to be able to kill them all, because Ronins suck at hitting here. This picket was close enough. But yeah, you catch a bunch of slings out of position, so that's kind of nice. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing you should be doing as well. Like, you can see the slings harassing the commander. Really, where are your slings harassing this commander's position? You could really be harassing this position. If you just had a radar so you could see what enemies doing and follow how many buildings there are, and so you keep units spotted. If you spot the tower, then your slings will be accurate against it. Because slings will miss a lot if it doesn't have visual spotting on something. But if you spot a turret or something, that unit will remain as a radar dot, so it will remain accurate as long as you keep the radar. If you scout to the turret and you have a radar dot in it, it will be accurate. And your commander almost goes down against these Ronins here. And you can see that being able to retreat behind your Lotus helps here. But yeah, you can see here that these Ronins can really punish your commander and kill defenses pretty easily. Yeah. Meanwhile, you're going forward here. So you can see here one imp. It's just going to be able to stun one lone knight that's low on health. Everyone else is just going to walk through. So yeah, imps doesn't work that well against knights. So yeah. So yeah, you get some raid. Well, I shouldn't call it raiding. Something done because there's a gap in the defense line here. Yeah. So yeah, you might be able to do this, but then you run all your glaives into a Stardust. It's kind of bad. I mean, your knights would have been able to deal with this defense easily instead of sacrificing glaives. I guess you were having your attention elsewhere or something. Yeah. You can see that the enemy is still far ahead. You were kind of keeping even a little bit, but now the enemy is pulling ahead again. And yeah, you're wasting a few units here. Yeah, it's just like practicing multitasking is good, and being able to expect where enemy defense are, so you can be looking and not run your glaives into Stardust and stuff like that. It's good. But yeah. Yeah, and what you do in this situation, the enemy is just harassing with your slings. You should probably trying to continue, but yeah, this is a lot of defense. How much defense? Yeah, like he invested almost 4,000 metal into this area just to defend it. Yeah, and here comes an enemy push with Reavers and Knights. That's gonna be kind of hard to stop because you don't have the right unit composition. And it's kind of too late to make Ronins at this point, so because yeah, the enemy is still gonna advance when they're this close. If you want to counter them with Ronin, you need to counter them before they reach your base. Yeah, you sacrifice a lot of glaze against Reavers and Knights to push back the enemy. Yeah, you can see the attrition value is still not good. Yeah. Meanwhile, you're sending your knights here. It's probably a better idea than sending them down here. They would probably die against the defense, not doing too much. Meanwhile, this ridge is keeping your commander kind of safe and all these stuff units kind of safe. So yeah, you were killing some slings here because they couldn't really get spotting on the stingers, and they ran into the stinger range. Yeah. But yeah, you're gonna struggle to deal with this armor now that the enemy has realized its value and are, yeah, basically have a bigger army than you have. So yeah, let's see here. Yeah. So what else would I recommend? You're gonna make a little new factory here. I mean, it's a kind of last-ditch effort. If you're gonna lose his base and can't kill the army, yeah, the enemy has to push you back all throughout the map. Yeah. It's kind of a Hail Mary. Yeah, at this point you will need to be able to do something really strong to kill the enemy. Or get really unlucky and kill the enemy while they're building a Strider or something. But yeah, they didn't. Going for a Strider hub against Cloakbots is pretty good. If you get the Dante up, they can burn a lot of they can basically counter hell Cloakbot factory. So it's a good choice to go for Dante against Cloakbots. What else can we say? Yeah, building these many stingers in the corners is kind of, I'm not sure, it's kind of a waste. So yeah, you both build a lot of turrets, but you can see here that it was really about your expansion. You should really, this expansion pattern is really slow as the commander, and you want it on the front line faster. So yeah, if you want to end up here with your commander and push this position, you could instead just push out here, like this. For example, it's a decent choice. You could also just push out like this, and this, for example. That's also not alternative. Yeah, and on this map you really want to focus a bit more on economy. So I would recommend making at least one conjurer, so the commander can grab this spot and another can grab this spot. And then you can send out raiders to see if the enemy is rushing you with a Reaver or something, or a Riot, because it's a viable strategy on this map to be able to rush the enemy with like a Reaver or something. Because yeah, this map is, if the enemy makes a Reaver, it's kind of hard to punish early, because yeah, there's like certain sections on this map that you wanna like push out on. So if you make a Reaver early, you can go to an earlier composition and not stay on glaze for as long, and you can use ticks to defend your choke points, and yeah, stuff like that. So you can see the enemy pulling ahead in a metal economy and metal use early, and then you had some bad exchanges generally. Yeah, you generally had some bad exchanges with enemy. Need to be a bit more careful which how you use your glaives, I'd say. So you don't fall this much behind. But the enemy is also building a lot of defense, so you avoided the defense at least and try to go around it. But yeah, making a few slings to punish the position like this is good. Like, depending on how much they have, you just might need 3 to kill these pickets and a few lotus turrets. Maybe if the enemy doesn't have stingers yet, you just go for Ronins and just push through, and you can use the Ronins are better at hitting stuff like Reavers and Knights and stuff. So yeah. So yeah, think about your unit composition, think about your expansion patterns, think about how much you should focus on eco on a map like this, how easy it is to defend, and how much you should, and when you should switch on glaives and stuff like that. So those are my tips for you. Good luck and have fun.